Hello, everyone. This is Mark, and you're listening to the Ballpark Hunter podcast. I am also the regional correspondent for the website Stadium Journey, the industry's leader in sports reviews. If you are planning a travel anywhere, whether it's baseball or football, football's right around the corner. If not, it's already here. Depending on where you live, check out stadiumjourney.com. We have a map and we have plenty of great stories and podcasts to help you along your journeys as well. Well, my guest today is Chris Dorsey. He is the American Legion coach of Richland Post 215 in downtown Columbia, South Carolina. And he has a goal in mind, and that is to save Capital City Stadium. So I can't wait to talk to Chris and tell me what you're going to do and why you want to save it. So, Chris, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Mark. It's funny how people meet. You put yourself out there a little bit. The next thing I know, I'm looking at all your stuff and all the ballparks you've gone through.
Nice.
And I found it very interesting and you know, kind of reaching out and touching base. And I think we have a lot in common when it comes to the history of baseball and a love for old ballparks. And we get a lot of chances to see old ballparks as the American Legion coach in downtown Columbia. We go to a lot of really cool ballparks, you know, like Duncan Ballpark in
Spartanburg.
Greer has a neat little park. It's a recreational field, but they got a really nice field. Florence has a cool park. Riley Park is the gold standard.
That is.
That's my favorite American Legion ballpark in the country. It was really, it looks, I mean, you know, at one time it was the Sumter Braves, I think, at one time. But that ballpark was really built for American Legion. The size of it and the community, how they come out there, and it's a gold standard of it. So, yeah, I love all these old ballparks in the state of South Carolina.
Yeah, have you been down to Orangeburg to see Mirmo Field?
Yeah, I mean, we actually played Mirmo 3 times, Orangeburg 4 times this year. So we played them 3 times at Mirmo because we got rained out at our place. And they've done a nice job with the stadium, with the improvements of the walls, and done some stuff up there. That's a neat ballpark. I wish they'd do a little bit more with the field.
Yes.
The surface is not great, but hey, it's look like what I'm trying to do. It's baby steps, and you can't build Rome in a day. And so Mirmo, I'm proud of what they're doing. I enjoy playing in that ballpark too. And it's funny, these old ballparks, you don't see a lot of home runs hit out of them from American Legion players because the old ballparks were built, you know, in the 50s and 60s and when the ballpark and they just replicated the major league field.
Yeah, no, yeah. And even I think Mirmo just turned 75th last year. That was built in 1948. That's actually one of my Mirmo and Capital City Stadium, or I think my 2 original ballpark reviews. I had gone down there to see games. Well, Mirmo, I snuck in. I didn't see a game there, and just recorded. And then a few years later, I was able to splice stuff together and make a video. So those are like my first 2 ballpark reviews that I put on my site. So those are special memories for me as well, because the Carolinas are just everywhere you go, there's a ballpark. And
where do you live?
I'm in Indianapolis.
Y'all got that ballpark in Indianapolis that used to be Busch Stadium that became apartment complex.
Yes, yeah, it's I have a couple of friends who live there, and I have a couple of friends. Well, I think one just lives there now, but yeah, I actually thought about getting an apartment there when they first opened, but the wife said no, she didn't want to do it. I said, let's just do it for 1 year, then we'll buy the house. And she's like, no, I'm not doing it. That would have been something to say I lived at a ballpark, but she turned me down. But yeah, if you look at the outside of the front entrance, it looks like a baseball game's taking place. And then you walk inside and you're like, oh, wow, what the heck did they do here? So fabulous job. They still have the scoreboard, the ivy, the original ivy before Wrigley Field, the brick walls. The base paths are covered in, and the bases are now concrete, and there's a little bit of a slope now, it seems. So you really can't play baseball on the field unless you're just playing catch in the outfield. Right. But still, fun place.
It's just neat to see that a college. There's a college. Maybe you've seen that too. Like a Division II college out there. I'll have to send it to you. But they actually have an active baseball field where the team plays, and then the dorms are backing up to it.
Yes. That I think that's well, that could be a few. There's a place in Grand Rapids, Michigan that have the dorms, and I was up there last summer to pay a visit. Small, I can't think of the college name at the moment. I can look that up. But yeah, you're seeing all sorts of really cool looking ballparks open up, and whether you look at an old classic ballpark like Mirmo with the grandstand, Cornerstone University is
Okay.
the ballpark that I'm thinking of, and that's outside of Grand Rapids. But whether you have new ballparks, old ballparks, I mean, all of them are just so darn interesting that you don't want to see them knocked down. And you're trying to save one of these ballparks that it's not the original ballpark. I think this is the third ballpark that was built in on that site in Columbia. But Capital City Stadium, you're trying to save, and you're hoping you can do whatever you can to save it. So how on earth, what's your earliest memories of Capital City Stadium before we get to your objective of saving
Now, I mean, as a kid, my brother and my dad would, would just drop us off, back when you were 8, 9, 10 years old, back when you could just drop a kid off in those days. And we'd go to all the games, and we really went to the games, but we'd enjoy the games, but we'd really like to chase foul balls. And my brother and I would get, 20 balls a game, and just having fun with that. But we lived at the ballpark down there, and all the players and the minor league players that came through, and it was just a lot of fun. And so, like you said, when we were down there, it was a wood stadium.
Yep.
I mean, it was the Columbia Mets, and it looked like if somebody dropped a cigarette, it could go up in flames.
Well,
and so we saw a lot of games there. And then as we got older, then the bomb they changed their name to the Columbia Bombers, the Capital City Bombers.
Capital City Bombers, yeah.
Yeah, and Bill Shanahan, took over the team, and Bill right now runs the Lexington Blowfish, and he's got his own stadium over in Lexington, right down the road from us, because they couldn't really strike a deal with the city of Columbia back then. Mm-hmm. And I've always admired Bill Shanahan a lot for what he's done. And he's got a collegiate summer league team over there. And so, when it came to Bombers, and like I told you before we started, I actually got signed by the Mets out of that stadium. We went down to a big tryout, and I think you've seen those tryouts back that they used to have. I have no idea out of 100 players how they chose me. I had to be one of the slowest guys there. I hadn't played in a year, and it was really just a godsend. The good Lord was looking out for me that day. I might have said I was a few years younger than I really was.
Okay,
that might help. But so I signed with them and played 2.5 years in the Mets organization, and I took that from as a college baseball player, I had scoutitis, and when scouts would show up to see me, it seems like I didn't perform, and I wasn't some tremendous athlete, so I didn't get drafted, and I was bummed out about it. So I get signed, and one of the neatest things about signing is I had a year off, and I was more of a fan and had more of a love for baseball than I ever had in my life. And the subtle art of not giving a darn,
mm-hmm.
That's a gift, and I had that, and I had a pretty good minor league career. But most of all, I had so much fun playing. And one of the leagues, I played in 2 really cool leagues that you'd like. The New York Penn League. They have some incredible ballparks up there. I actually played in Wacona Park. I bet you've been there.
Yeah, Pittsfield, yes.
It was at one time it was the oldest ballpark in the country.
It looks like it too. I was up there in 2002, and you feel like you were going into a relic. There's some ballparks that say we've been here for 75, 90 years, and you're like, it seems a little up to date. But yeah, that was a ball. They would hang owls from the rafters, from the ceiling, and the sun would come at you. You ever have those sun delays up there?
Oh yeah. Yeah, I had a great time in Pittsfield. I had a great time in the New York Penn League because as a South Carolina kid, it's 100 degrees every day in June, July, and August.
Yes.
And up there, I literally moved into this place. You live with the host family, and it was in Pittsfield, and she didn't have air conditioning. And I was like, I got to get out of here. And it turned out that I found out at night, it's 59 degrees with a window fan in there, and it's just great sleep. So I had a wonderful time there. I actually played before that. I played in the Appalachian League, and that had
Kingsport.
a lot of cool parts. I played in Kingsport.
Yeah.
Now Dobbins-Bennett Stadium our stadium where I played was terrible. It was like a high school place, but they had a lot of neat fields. I remember Howard Johnson Stadium in Johnson City was a really neat ballpark that I can remember.
Yeah,
yeah,
that's still there. TVA Credit Field. That's a great ballpark. I tell a lot of folks, if you're in Johnson City, Tennessee on a Thursday night, at least when I was there a couple years ago, Thirsty Thursdays, and they'll have beers for $1, 16 ounces or 2, and a 20 ounces 3. They have an outdoor bar. I mean, beautiful views of the hills. You can't get a better baseball experience, and
you can't.
It just
they also had East Tennessee State University right there too, which was a neat little school, and we had a good time. But Elizabethton was a neat park.
Yeah,
Bristol,
right down the street.
Martinsville had a really cool park. The Phillies, that was a neat one. So one of the neat things, and that's what the Appalachian League. I was so glad that they got a collegiate summer league sponsored by the MLB, because I still talk to my host family.
Oh, that's great.
And their son, who was like 10 years old when I played there, now he's a father of some ball players. He texts me about it for advice on stuff, and those relationships never go away.
Yeah, I mean, you're 10 years old. You got a baseball player living at home. That must be a thrill for any kid. I would love to host baseball players. If we had a team near us. I think Indianapolis and Kokomo are the closest teams. Nobody's living down here from Kokomo. But yeah, you talked about some great ballparks, and the Appalachian League. I think Elizabethton and Johnson City. I mean, I think they're 10 minutes away from each other. That's you can do them in one night. You just leave one early and go the other one. And speaking of Bristol, did you hear that the Braves and Reds are going to be playing a game at the racetrack next year?
That's awesome.
Yeah,
that is so cool.
I would drive for that. I would drive from Indianapolis to see that.
I've got to get back up there to see those people, those great people that I just love to death. Carl and Dave Wood, their son Luke, just wonderful people. One thing about Bristol was, and if you remember this, you could actually hit a ball from Tennessee out of Virginia, because the outfield wall the state line was on the outfield wall.
Okay, I didn't realize it was that close. I went there. Was it Royce Cox Field? I don't think they're playing there this year. I don't know if there's some structural damage to the stadium, but I think they're playing in Greenville for the this past summer. So they're trying to get a new ballpark. I don't know what the story about that is. Like a lot of those Appalachian League parks, some of them are they need some fixing up, and others are just classic ballparks that you enjoy checking out a game. Burlington, I love the sock puppets. That is just such a fun ballpark, and that was originally built in Danville, Virginia, and they shipped it piece by piece, and they rebuilt it. And Danville has a newer stadium. I think that was built about 30 years ago up there in Virginia. But yeah, the old ballparks, the small ballparks, and it's great that the Appalachian League is still around. Unfortunately, the New York Penn League is no longer around, but a lot of those old stadiums are still housing teams in the various summer collegiate leagues up there. So it's good to know those are still around, just not the name. One day, maybe they'll get that name back.
Well, and that was one of the neat things about me as a player. I actually was more of a fan. And so when I would go to these ballparks, I really enjoyed playing at them. I really just, kind of took my time and walked around. I've actually seen, me and my wife and my boys, I've probably seen a few more, but we've gone to every stadium but 3 in the major leagues.
Yep.
And I bet you I've been to, in the Southeast, I've hit every minor league ballpark there is. My wife thinks I'm nuts, but every time we go someplace, I hit it.
My wife too.
So I mean, and my kids, my son, my youngest son plays baseball at Anderson University, which they have an old ballpark there too. It's not in a great location, but it's kind of a neat park. But so I love the ballparks, and I guess that kind of brings us to our point is. with Capital City, I drove. I mean, so let me tell you, my thing with Capital City was I was totally fine with it. With the developer coming in there and it ran its course and the Fireflies opened up in the Bull Street district. You got the Gamecocks over here, and I was totally fine with a developer coming in there putting apartments and whatever they were going to do. And 10 years goes by, and everybody drops out, and we just keep driving by it. And as a guy that's born and raised in Columbia, it's embarrassing. It's an eyesore. It's an eyesore, and it's an embarrassment to me. And as much pride as I have in our city, and how much I love Columbia, and how much I love baseball, and how much I love my baseball stadiums, I just was riding by it one day, and it was kind of a perfect time. Is God bless AC4 High School, which is our 5 minutes from my house, and Ben Lippon's a private school, and they let us play our Legion team. They allow us to play on their field. We have 5 teams. I coach the senior team, and I'm the general manager of the program. But we have 5 teams: 19-year-old kids at Senior Legion. Then we have 2 junior teams. By the way, one of our junior teams just won the state championship this year. Sweet. So my hat goes off to that team, the gold team. And then we have 2 15U teams. So we have over 100 kids playing in our program, Mark. And we don't have a field. And thank God the coach at Florida is wonderful. Andy Hallett, he lets us play there. But there's a lot of rules and regulations that go into these things, and they've got to get permission from their AD. They've got to get permission from their school district on the public side, and then the head of school at the private schools. And it's not easy. And we have to pay for those facilities, which we proudly do. We charge a gate, but it's a lot of work that goes into it. It's a lot of stress. And so I've been on a mission to find a ballpark. And in our community, it's unbelievable. We don't have one in Richland County, which is our county and city of Columbia. We don't have one regulation ballpark, which regulation, I mean, collegiate or high school size. We don't have one playable field in the whole area. I mean, not one.
That's shocking.
And so, no, it's unbelievable. And Lexington County across the river, they have tons of them. And it's just, I've been waiting on the government to do something with it, and they didn't. And so I just decided one day that when I decide something and my heart felt it, and the good Lord brings this incredible passion over me that I can't contain. And I said, I'm going to do it. And I'm going to do everything I can to make this happen. And I know there's going to be a lot of roadblocks. I know there's going to be a lot of hurdles dealing with the state government, but I've got a plan. And I think it's a plan that nobody else has had. I think we're going to go in this in a grassroots effort with a combination with some joint ventures from some businesses to help raise some funds. So we're going to bring something to the party, and we'd like for the city to bring something to the party and be a public-private joint venture. And we're looking at, I've actually, with my Facebook post that I just started the other day, we've gotten just tremendous enthusiasm from the community. I've got tremendous enthusiasm on this Save Capital City Stadium website. We've got 400 members in 12 hours or 20 hours, and so people are behind this. The community wants this, and that was kind of why I did it on the Facebook page to see how the community felt. And there's no ballparks for the public. USC has their park.
Yeah, they don't let anybody in there.
And they're not letting anybody in there.
No.
And that's their, and I get it. That's fine. They have every right not to let anybody in there. But the community, we need a ballpark for our players. Mark, we have in our program, we have the most diverse group of kids there are. I mean, we're inner city. So we're bringing kids that usually typically wouldn't have played baseball. And we're getting younger kids that would quit. And these guys are loving the game, man. I mean, the minority players that we have in our program, their parents talk to me and they're saying, they're talking to kids now that are 10, 11, 12 years old saying, look what we're doing with baseball. Don't quit baseball and go to basketball or football. Stay with it. So we're not only doing something good for the community, we're actually changing the faces of our program. And we have the most, like I said, in the state of South Carolina, in our American Legion program, we got the most diverse group of kids in the entire state. And I'm not a DEI guy. I pick the best players. All right, but the best players that we got they're diverse. I mean, we have Latinos, we have African Americans, we have American Indians. So I'm taking the best ball players, and so we need a place to play, Mark. We need a place to call home, and if that means that I have to take the bull by the horns and make something happen, I'm going to do it. I mean, I've started businesses. I'm an entrepreneur. I know how to do it. I started an American Legion program from 3 years ago. The American Legion program in our area was dead, and my wife looked at me and she said, "What are you going to do now that your kids are going off to college?" Because I didn't want to get in their business and be a coach with them when they were playing high school baseball. So I decided to start the American Legion program. We started it the first year. Now, we had some really great players, a lot of collegiate guys. We had one guy that went to the MLB draft combine. So we took off from the ground floor in the first year. We put out a good product. People saw it. People saw our coaching staff. And then the next year, we went from one team to two 17U teams. And this year, we went to 5 teams, and we had 100 people in our program. And we raised a lot of money to within 3 months. Thank God for the community and the businesses that supported us, because they're believing in what we did. I mean, we raised around $40,000 in 3 months so we could buy uniforms, pay for fields, pay for umpires, pay for everything that goes in there, because we don't charge our players anything. In American Legion, you play for free.
And that's important to a lot of families, being able to play for free, because sports can be expensive. And, there's some individuals, families just don't have enough money to send their kids. And, remember growing up, whatever you wanted, your parents gave it to you. But I felt like there was more kids playing baseball. But you're right, you're competing against football, basketball. I used to coach middle school baseball, and I would have kids show up with brand new gloves. They never played the game before. So, if they can start and get really into it and develop something, you don't know what the future can hold for them. So yeah, I do agree. Now, with the stadium itself, are you looking to just save the field? Are you looking to save the whole stadium, a portion of it? What are you looking at when you say I want to save the stadium? Like, what's your goal when it's all said and done, besides having a field for your kids?
So right now I'm in the stage of I've got a dream. Okay. Yeah. You got to have a dream, because, a dream is so important, because a dream is a lot better than a plan. So the dream is right now, the dream is to get that, instead of, doing apartments and all that stuff. Yeah. I want to build it and let them come. And what I mean by that is I want to redo the stadium. I think there, I had a beautiful call today with a lady named Kristen Long, and it was, the good Lord sending again. I threw out a fish hook, I threw out a worm, and she came on, and she actually, I said, look, I need a professional person that knows how to do grants and fundings. And this lady that called me just happened, her son, this is how how things work. Is her son played on our AA team in our Richland program, in our American Legion program. I had no idea what she did. She said, she's a professional at getting funding and grants. So she told me about 5 or 6 grants that we can go get that this place really qualifies for, because, this is one of these deals where you look at it, it's historic, it's abandoned, and it's for the community. And so, and it's got everything. Major League Baseball has a fund that's, for this as well. It checks every box for these funding deals. And she's going to guide me in that way. But the dream is I want to fix up the stadium with a grassroots effort. I think the community, I think I can have a call of attack right now if I said Saturday, I need 200 people to show up with bulldozers. And, I own a roll-off dumpster company called Big Red Box, as you can see in the background.
Yeah, I see that.
But all ABP always be promoting, right, Mark? So,
yep.
So, we'd bring the dumpsters. We could clean up the ballpark. I mean, I could have 200 or 300 people out there tomorrow. So grassroots with some grants and public money, grant money, some businesses stepping up, some nice, organizations, some nonprofits that we know of that helped us for our Legion team. They could step up to raise the type of money that we need to do to fix this stadium up. We've got to do a lot of stuff to the actual field itself. The stadium is structurally, and an engineer could say something different. I haven't looked at it, but
that's true.
Structurally, it looks pretty good, and we could do some things, and it might have some problems structurally, but we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. But we can fix the stadium up, to a degree, and we need to do the field. The field we want to do artificial turf, and playing Legion for the last 3 years is artificial turf is actually, you spend more money up front, but you make it's a lot more cost effective, and you make more money at the end with artificial turf. For example, 2 weeks ago when we played our last playoff game, we go to the state tournament. We had to go down to College of Charleston and play at College of Charleston because it was the only field in the state of South Carolina that was turf that would allow us to play there. So I want to do a turf field, and the way I want to do turf is because baseball, we think is going to be obviously a big thing there, but we know that other soccer and moving the fences in with a portable fence, and with the turf you can play little league baseball games. You can play the 60. You can play the 14Us. You can have events there. We can have concerts there. I mean, it's going to be much bigger than just baseball when I envision.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
And so I think we can. That's the goal. Now, as far as how you make money on it, it's a lot of land back there, and everybody that's been going back to that's been had contracts on it. One of them was a grocery store. The other one was Walmart. You wrote a nice article about that. Mm-hmm. And then the next guy came in, and he wanted to do apartments on it with some retail. I think, down the road, if we fix this park up first and cut the eyesore out of it, I think there might be enough room in the back to put a nice apartment complex. But that's down the road, and that's not my goal right now. My goal is to when people come in for a soccer game with 77,000 people that were in that stadium the other night to watch Manchester versus Liverpool. That 77,000 people, that 90% of them weren't from Columbia. They ought to pass that ballpark, which is less than a half a mile away, to the Williams-Brice Stadium, and say, "What the heck is that thing right there? How can you have something that bad?" It's so it's an embarrassment for us. So I think that this, and I would like the city, and I'm friends with Mayor Rickeman. I've known him since college. He's the best mayor we've had so far. Nice. And I think Mayor Rickeman, I've got an appointment lined up to see him next week, and I'm looking forward to talking to him. And I'd like for us to sit down and I'd like to say, look, I'm not a tire kicker. Yeah, I know how to raise money. I know how to run a business. I think we can do this on a public-private deal. Let's see what we can do. But at the end of the day, Chris Dorsey's not doing this to make money. I make money off my business back here. I'm doing this for the community. I'm doing this because I love it. Because, I mean, look, this is kind of a crazy deal I'm about to get into. This is going to have to take up a lot of time, a lot of effort, and I'm going to go all in on it. And so I hope the city understands that I'm not joking around right now. I'm coming in to get a deal done, and I hope that they're willing to work with us on this so we can.
That's quite the plan there, and I'm with you there. It's even when I was there in 2013 to see a game, yeah, they're knocking it down, but maybe after next year. And I've heard all the stories they're going to do A, B, C, and D, and you're right, it's still standing there. It's amazing how people will still post pictures of walking inside. So if you come in and say, hey, let's just use it for baseball, like it has been used for 90, almost 100 years. That might be the best plan, but you're right. It's going to take time. You're not making a profit off of it right now. How realistic could this be? How realistic do you think you can get the ball rolling that you can say from a year from now, maybe you're playing on the field? Like, could you play on the field right now with just some maintenance, or are you looking to tear it up and add the turf?
Yeah. That field is gone. I mean, okay. It needs a total it's unplayable. I mean, it needs, we're talking millions of dollars. Okay. I mean, this is not something this is millions of dollars that we're going to have to raise. I understand how much it's going to be. We have a nonprofit right now that we have set up already in place, ready to go and attack. I've got a great board. I've got a great team. We're going to look at how that's probably the way to go right now. That may change when I talk to my CPA, who is on our board. But right now we've got a nonprofit set up, and we understand that this is not something we're going to go throw a coat of paint on and go cut the grass and put a temporary fence up. I mean, this is millions of dollars, and we know that it's going to cost millions of dollars. We think once we get our team together that we can go out and we can get businesses and philanthropists in our community that love Columbia, that love baseball, that have a history at that ballpark, that don't like driving by that just like I do, and they're willing to donate from their funds. I think it's realistic that they will, and I think that we're gonna find that people are going to really step up for this. Now, people that don't have the money, I think that they're going to be the people that are the grassroots people that are going to come. What can I do? How can I help? And you know what? They're going to be very important, play a big part of this too, because we're going to need a lot of manpower and women power to get this thing going. Just on, you're talking about power washing and painting and little stuff like that and cleaning things up. And then with the field thing, to do a turf field, it's $1 million minimum just to do the turf field.
Oh,
so,
yeah.
But we think the turf it's got to be a turf field. I've just got too much experience in this to know, because like I said, I'm with you, Mark. I mean, baseball, it's going to be a baseball park, but there's going to be other events on this park. We want this to be a community. We want this when we're not playing baseball, when it's too cold to play. We want them to have, chili cook-offs down there, oyster roast. We want concerts. We want to be able to dog shows, weddings. I mean, whatever the community says they want, we're going to give it to them. And, we'd like to manage it. I would, if I'm going to do this, I want to be in control of the management. Once we do it, kind of like Bill Shanahan's done with Lexington, we think that we're going to get in there. We'll maybe, however we work the deal out with the city of Columbia, once we can work something out, we're going to, look to have control over it and lease it. But we're going to have, and I'm sure there's going to be some writing that says it's got to be for the community. But that's why we're doing it in the first place, is for the community. This isn't going to be, Chris Dorsey's, a venue. I'm not gonna risk all my money that I've worked so hard to go get on a ballpark. This is not about the money. This is about the community. It's about getting that ballpark back. And selfishly, the only thing I would say selfishly for me, I'd like to have my team. I'd like to have my 100 kids that I've got. I'd like to have a home. I mean, yes, I want a home. That's a big deal. Is we want a home for our team. So we're doing this all for all the right reasons. I mean, I don't think this is, if I think if this was a business idea, without building with apartments in the back, it doesn't make any sense at all. So it's going to be, a position where how can we get enough money, and how can we build the field, rent it out to make the amount of money to pay for basically, what our overhead is in the deal. Now, down the road, if somebody wants to come back there and build an awesome, student housing or condos, or, you could build game day you're so close to South Carolina, people would buy condos just to go to the games. Yeah, I mean, this is a great spot. If they allow apartments and stuff back there, then if the zoning allows that, then great. That'd be cool. We'd be willing to work with anybody on that. But right now, what we got is a ballpark that needs to be fixed.
Yeah.
Let's get that thing going. And then if you build it, they will come. So that's what my goal is. I've always been a guy that's in business or anything like that. I like to start with baby steps, and then get into it. So look, I want to build the field right. Fix the stadium up to however we need to fix it up as good as we can, as feasible as we can. And when people pass by it again, I want people to say, wow, that place looks great. I want people to be lights on. I want people to have people moving in there and it be alive again. And then down the road, if it decides to become more than that, and you put apartments and there's a brewery back there, then so be it. And we'll work that deal when it comes. But for right now, the reality is let's get this field back up, because Mark, we've waited 10 years.
It's a long time.
I've been, look, if I wouldn't have waited 10 years, we wouldn't have this podcast. I mean, people have had their shot. Why would something happen in the next 3 months or 6 months if it hasn't happened in 10 years? You're looking at the best location in the world for student housing, and there's a student housing apartment complex in our area going up every week, and they hadn't built one there. So it's not like people are knocking the doors down to go buy Capital City Park to go build apartments in the first place. So what we really have is a situation where it needs to be a ballpark, and because the capitalism speaks. And nobody wants to do anything there. So I'm just crazy enough to say, well, what happened there for 100 years? They had a baseball park there.
Yes.
Well, is there a water problem down there? Yeah. Can we help that? Probably. But they played there for 100 years. So why can't we at least play baseball there?
And that's what I kept hearing about was the trying to build, business there. You had the water, you had the flooding, but you've been playing baseball there for so long. Does it flood a lot there? I mean, is it that much of a concern?
Yeah, I mean, it's in a low-lying area, and right down the first base side is low. I'm going to go check it out tomorrow. Now, yes, but the problem with when they were going to build a Walmart or a Kroger, and you got to think all that concrete. So you got to have, that's a totally different landscape when you do that. Having the base, I mean, I haven't looked into this enough, but I'm going to find this out. I mean, you think with a baseball field that, it's not going to have to have as much, remediation when it comes to that. But we'll see. And as far as it flooding, yeah, I mean, if we put artificial turf in there and we can kind of divert the water down that way, I don't think it's going to be a huge problem because, again, it was there for, 100 years. If it doesn't flood tomorrow, then it'll never flood, because I'm telling you right now, we have flood warnings on every advisory, and I'm going to go down there and check it out. Now, tomorrow, if I drive down there and the field is underwater, then I'd be the first to tell you, okay, we got a big problem here. But that's going to be for engineers to figure out. And I think one of the cool things, Mark, is they've gone down this road for 10 years with 3 different developers. I think that they have a lot of paperwork and engineering down that they've seen. So they can probably tell us pretty easy what needs to be done.
Yeah. Yeah, that's wow, it's great to have this idea, but you're right. Now you're thinking about the flooding, you're thinking about raising the money. What's the next step that you do in order to get the ball rolling? Is it talking to the mayor? Is it, making those phone calls? Is it raising the money? What's the next step when you really want to get the word out and say, hey, we're saving the stadium. Who's with me?
Yeah. We've got to get to the mayor. I've got to get the mayor's ear. Again, Mayor Rickaman is a wonderful mayor. He's my favorite mayor we've had in my lifetime. He's done a lot of good things for our city. He's pro-business. He knows what's best for the community. And when me and Mayor Rickaman talk, I think we're going to have a good conversation because I think he knows that, I know I can go out and raise money. I think that he's seen it. I'm a proven fundraiser. I mean, like I said, I just raised $40,000 in really 60 days for our Legion program, which is a smaller program. When you look at saving the stadium, saving Capital City Stadium, I'm looking at an audience that's 100 times bigger than my American Legion program. So it might be 1,000 times bigger. I mean, we're gonna be able to raise money from all over the place for people to save this stadium. And again, so we talk to the mayor, we figure out what we got to do, And then we have to tell the mayor that we're serious about this, that we're going to bring some money to the table, but we need for them to bring some money to the table too, just like anybody does when they do a joint venture for a stadium in the major leagues or the NFL or something like that. It's always, a joint venture. And we're not going to compete against the Gamecocks. We're not going to compete against the Fireflies. We're going to be a community field. We're gonna have community events. We're going to play American Legion there. We're going to play Men's League there. We're going to play Gamecock Club baseball there. We're going to have travel ball tournaments there. We're going to host some Little League stuff. We'll probably try to host some Southern Conference tournaments. We'll try to get the New York, the teams from the North, the Snowbirds that come down, Division II and other colleges that come down into Florida. We're going to try to get them to stop halfway, play some tournaments for us there. Have concerts, community events. So, we're going to be a totally different niche than what anybody else is. We're not even, at this point in time, we're not going to have a collegiate summer league. So we're not going to compete against Bill Shanahan at this time right now because, we play, our Legion team in the summers play every night. We literally play 5 nights a week. So, I tell you what I would like though, and I bet you we could do this. I love this. I bet you the Savannah Bananas to help us raise some money. I bet you the Savannah Bananas would come up here and play a game for us once we get this place fixed up.
Oh, but I tell you, the Savannah Bananas, I remember when they started Banana Ball. Now they're playing Major League Ballparks. That would be a good little fundraising story for them. Who wouldn't want to be involved in that? And maybe I know David Wright, former New York Mets, used to play, was a Capital City Bomber. Maybe he can help out, and you get some of those former players to come in. Greg Jeffries, I think, also played there. Just say, hey, can you help us out? Anything.
I need guys with major league money.
Yeah.
And Greg Jeffries and those guys. David Wright did pretty good, but what you're going to find is people like that. They don't really care. Look, I love where I played in the minor leagues, and I've got some loyalty towards them. But people care about their hometowns, and the people that are going to help us are going to be people that love Columbia. My family. My wife and her family's from Olympia. They're from the Olympia Mill Village, so they're from right there. Mike Martin was the day my oldest son was born. Mike Martin was the first person outside my family to see him. He was a first-round draft choice out of Olympia. Jerry Martin's from Olympia. He's a great friend of mine. So we have so much. I've got a lot of skin in this game with my wife and her family. They're from the Mill Village of Olympia, and all her kinfolks and everybody played there. This stadium means a lot to them. So that has a lot to do with what I'm doing as well. But as far as the money's going to be concerned, I think it's going to be more businessmen. I think it's going to be people that really believe in our community, that people that love Columbia and that have and feel the same way as I do, and probably just don't want to go out or have the time to go out there and do what I'm about to do. They'll say, "Yeah, how can we help?" And they're going to help financially because they've been blessed with great businesses, and the community loves them, and we love what they do. And some of these guys, have some unbelievable amounts of money, and some of these funds that we know of, and the foundations, they have tremendous amounts of money, and this is right up their alley. It's kids, community, family, in their hometown.
And you can't go wrong with that, and you definitely got to go after the folks with the big pockets. So I'm on board. If you could save Capital City Stadium, Chris, my goodness, that would be the ultimate underdog story, because that's one stadium that they've been talking about tearing that down maybe even longer than 10 years, maybe 20 years. They've been talking about it. And, to have it host baseball again, and for inner city kids, and to promote the game, and, to host other events. Sounds like a great option, and I wish you success. We'll have to keep in touch and let me know how progress is going.
Yeah, we're going to run into a lot of hurdles. There's going to be a lot of things that'll make a lot of people want to quit, but it's going to. I'm telling you, I'm in this one. I'm committed to it.
Well, how long do you think this will take? What's your vision? Within 5 years or longer?
If it's 5 years from now, then I'm not doing it. You know,
Okay. Okay.
I'm not. I mean, so it's. I mean, this is something that. I mean, you know, I got. I think I'd love to have it, you know, opened in a year and a half.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, so you know, it's just a matter of when you're dealing with bureaucracy and you're dealing with government. Then and again, this is not a shot at Mayor Rickaman and his staff and the city councilman. It just takes a lot of time.
Yeah.
And it's just that's how the ball rolls in that community, in the government. I'm an entrepreneur. I make things happen fast, but I understand how this is going to work. You know, and it might not be, and things are going to change. I mean, from our conversation right now, you know, and our next time we talk, there might be a whole different type of plan. And we'll just adjust accordingly. But I can tell you, it's gonna take something really major for me to quit. Because I just believe in this. I just think this is the right time. I really do believe in it. And I'm at the age now, and what I do with my baseball program and with the community, it's just like, I mean, you talk about synergy. You know, my business, you know, it's just like there's just so much synergy on this thing. And if I can't do it, I don't think anybody can.
Definitely. Definitely. Well, Chris, we wish you a lot of luck. And where can people find you if they want to get some more information about this project or reach out to you?
Yeah. So right now we've just got a Facebook page up. It's called Save Capital City Stadium. So they can follow that. And we literally just started it. And we're gonna be posting information on that all the time. So it's called Save Capital City Stadium.
Nice.
And follow us on that. And as far as the fundraising is concerned, we haven't even started that. But trust me, when we start that, you guys, if you're on, you'll know.
All right. We will do that. Well, Chris, I thank you for coming on. I'd love to talk more, but I actually have another guest coming on in about 10 minutes. So I'm double
Awesome, man.
booked.
Enjoyed it.
Yeah, but I have a feeling we will be talking again in the future when we get a little more information on the plan. So best of luck to you. And for everybody who's listening, thanks for watching. Follow me on Twitter, Ballpark Hunter, YouTube, Ballpark Hunter, and of course at stadiumjourney.com, the industry's leader in sports reviews. Happy hunting, and we'll talk to you soon.